welcome to I Love This Thing So Freaking Much, a podcast about passion. My name is Sophie Katz, and today I am joined by Henry Fitzhugh, an actor, producer, model, podcaster, and former Division I athlete. Welcome to the show, Henry.
Thanks so much for having me on.
Oh, thanks for being here. So, here's how this works. Henry will have 3 minutes to talk about something that he loves. This can be a person, place, thing, concept, activity, anything he wants. Our only requirement is that he loves it wholeheartedly and wants to tell us why. Are you ready, Henry?
I'm ready, yeah.
Good. Got my timer here. Now, what do you love so freaking much?
Well, there's two things. I'll start with the first one and I'll say meeting new people. And that is something that I kind of discovered later on in my life. I always kind of was really wrapped into my own individual identity as an athlete. And I kind of consider myself to be an introvert back then. And I didn't have a big social circle. I was very focused on sports and school. And I just kind of blocked everything else out besides my social life. And I kind of neglected it. So it put me in a weird point in my life when I was about a sophomore in college. You know, I was like really struggling to find my people, find my group of people that I really, really like. That's when I decided to transfer schools. I went up to St. Mary's College, which is a small liberal arts school in the Bay Area. It was like a total change for me. I went from being at a really big school to a really small school. I didn't really know anybody, but we had this kind of cool athletic community there. And I met a lot of people who were like-minded people who liked sports, who just liked the things I liked that I didn't really have at my first school. So it was something I was super grateful for. And I just really found myself there as a person. I feel like I became a complete extrovert. I kind of went from introvert to extrovert. And I actually wrote a paper about that called Two-Sided. And it just talked about how like we have these two sides of us, right? We have this side where we need to be around people. And then we have this side where we need to focus and be on our own. And so I just love meeting new people. I love it. I found that that's a passion of mine. It's almost addicting. I love networking, meeting new people like spontaneously. I'm just that guy. I'm that guy who loves to talk with people I don't even know. Not everybody's like that, but I just kind of became that person along the way. I love that about myself. I think it's a super great trait I have. I can kind of transition into exercise now. That's kind of a different point. It all kind of wraps into that health umbrella of people need to be social. People need to be exercising. You can easily neglect these things. You can focus too much on work. You can focus too much on everybody else around you. And it's the most important thing is focusing on yourself. And I think that's what I needed to do and what I found in myself later on in my life that I didn't have as a young man. So I'm really passionate about that and sharing that. I really love combining the two as well. I talk about it in my podcast where it's really important that we have people around us that push us to be better and you keep the right people around you. And I think that when you're really social, you have that ability to filter out who you want to be in your life and who you don't want to be in your life. And, you know, it's just so important. I think with social media and everything, that's kind of dying in our society. And
Go ahead and finish your thought.
I think we need to all work together to make this world a better place.
That's wonderful. Thank you for telling us about exercise and meeting new people today.
Yeah, no problem.
Something I found interesting as you're talking, because you bring up these topics as though they're two separate things, but with your history, it sounds like they're tied together. That as you were focusing on your athletics, working on your exercise, that's how you found your community and started meeting more people.
Definitely. It's interesting because as an athlete, you can kind of get wrapped up in your own ego and who you are as an athlete. And when I was a kid, I was one of the highest ranked players in California. And as I got older, I just didn't really keep that up. I got injured. I had bad nutrition. And like I said, my social life was kind of lacking. And these things can really affect your performance and how you play and your life and how you just everything about your life. I think a lot of athletes can relate to this if they're listening, that you can kind of face an identity crisis. I know my friends have talked about this too. You can kind of face an identity crisis sometimes. And maybe I faced that a little bit when I graduated because I didn't really know what I wanted to do. But like the social thing, that's what I love my work. When I go on set, I get to hang around a bunch of different people, and it's just a great and positive environment to be in.
It just goes to show how it's hard to say that a thing is outright good for you or outright bad for you, because certainly exercise is a healthy thing for your body, but if you focus only on that and only on doing that, you can hurt your body and isolate yourself from the world. And likewise, meeting new people, being social can be a good boost to your mental health, and it can also in some ways be exhausting, be draining if that's the only thing you focus on. You gotta find balance.
100%. It's all about the balance. I think that, you know, a little bit of drinking is not bad. A little bit of fill in the blank is not bad, but usually a lot of it is really bad for you. But a lot of exercise is not really bad for you. That's only going to make you live a longer, healthier life if you're sleeping and eating right and doing all the other things, finding that balance. That's kind of like self-improvement in whole, I think. It's just finding that balance.
On that topic of self-improvement, something I thought was interesting you mentioned during your talk is that before you found your people, your community, you considered yourself an introvert, but it sounds like having the right people around you helped you be an extrovert instead.
One person that definitely helped me with that was my best friend. And he was kind of like in the same predicament. Like when we both met each other, our social circles expanded greatly. We have very similar personalities. If you know, you know. And I think you need to find those people in your life, no matter who you are, no matter what age you are. I think that humans, we can't isolate ourselves. And we almost live in a society where we do isolate ourselves, right? We need to come together. We need to work together, especially like politics are going on right now. The whole world is divided, right? Or the whole country is divided. So it's a tough time for our country, I feel like.
Earlier, you mentioned that you went from a bigger school to a smaller school, which presumably means you have a bigger, more potential chances to build your social circle
Kind of
to
ironic, right?
to a smaller community. And that's where you found your people, which then later you're talking about how, oh, social media, which is a potential to meet everyone in the world, is in many ways a detriment to really developing your social circle. Can you talk a little more about that paradox?
I think it can be a detriment. I'm not necessarily saying it's completely 1000% detriment. Like I met my best friend, or we became really close through social media. Like he hit me up on Instagram, was like, "Bro, I'm down in Long Beach. Like let's hang." And I was like, "Dude, come over." Like we weren't even that close before that. And so just meeting friends like that, social media can be a tool for that reason. But if you use it in the wrong way, it can really, I think it can screw you up. I think it kind of tripped me up early in my life. It can be a really big distraction from what you got going on in your life, I think.
Yeah, if it's a tool that you're using to find the right people and develop those relationships in a good way, as opposed to just using it to look at everyone in the world and being like, I wish I was like them, or I'm never going to be as good as them, and that just makes you feel bad.
Totally. It can be a really big comparison game. Like it's all about numbers on there and stuff. And I just don't really care about the numbers or anything. I don't care about social media. I don't care about fame. People think being famous is all this great thing, and it's really not. You have a lot of people following you around, and it's just like there's pluses and minuses to everything. But it can be a really great tool. It can be a great tool for business, especially with short form video. And that's how you get everybody's attention. You can see even TV's changing a lot. TV's going from being this big thing we watch at home to being now they're doing like these TikTok vertical shoots. I don't know if you've heard about this, but it's a really popular thing. I did a role in one of them recently, and it's just crazy to see how entertainment changes and our world changes as we humans develop and become more advanced as a society.
Yeah, if you want to, in a lot of ways, need to meet new people, not only for the social aspect, but to continue your career. But you don't necessarily need to meet everyone all the time.
You definitely have to have a filter of who you hang out with. Trying to be everybody's friend and pleasing everybody is not always the best thing for yourself.
What are some challenges you've come across on the journey of pursuing these passions of exercise and meeting new people?
I think you can become self-conscious about the opinions of others. And as humans, like we inherently do care a little bit what other people think of us. But if you can get to the point where you have so much confidence in yourself that you genuinely don't care what others think about you and you pick who you want to listen to, like I tell people, be very selective about who you take advice from because not everybody in this world is credible to tell you what to do. But exercise, I mean, there's so many challenges from getting bigger to being skinny. I mean, I've dealt with almost everything. I was pretty skinny growing up. And so one way I tried to get bigger was just working on my hormones, like having higher testosterone and sleeping better and trying to be less stressed out because there's a hormone called cortisol. And I learned that that's really, really bad. I wish I learned it earlier.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just fascinating. I think the human body is so fascinating. And I think that these two things are connected, right? And they might seem so separate and they might seem some different, but if you work out a lot and you're healthy, I would argue you're probably more socially confident. You're probably more socially adept. Not in every case. There's always going to be different cases, right? There's so many people in the world. There's so many different personality types, but
Yeah, absolutely. And everyone has a different vision for what is the kind of life they want, the kind of social circle they want, the kind of body they want. Some people like to be skinnier. Some people like to have more muscle or less muscle, whatever kind of life they're going for. And it's good to be able to explore these options and look up information when you need to and find people you can learn from when you need to develop a kind of lifestyle that works best for you.
yeah, that's a great point. And I think that there is so much information on the internet that you can use to your advantage, no matter what you're struggling with or what you want to learn or what you want to become in your career. You don't need to spend all this money on education or classes. There's so much resource online. That's how I learned how to become an actor. I taught myself. I never spent $1 on acting classes. I don't plan to because I don't need to because I have tons of resources and I can use those to my advantage and I can study, I can read. I'm such a curious person. I would encourage people to be curious about what you want to achieve.
Henry, thank you so much for telling us about something you love today.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you, Sophie. And I hope this helps people out there.
And thank you, our listeners, for tuning in today. If you would like to learn more about exercise and meeting new people or our guest Henry, you can find his social media information in the episode description, including a link to his podcast, Decoding Social Life. And if you have something you love so freaking much you want to tell me all about it, consider this your invitation to join the show. I Love This Thing So Freaking Much is a production of Through the Window Media. This episode was directed and edited by Sophie A. Katz. You can find us at Through the Window on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or Tumblr. That is THROU the Window at all those social media sites. Be good to yourself, be kind to each other, and you'll hear from us again soon.